guys? Welcome to What in the World? Steve! How you going? World Cup this morning, that's why I'm up a bit early. But today, just before the World Cup, I'll talk to you about Exiled. So, I was at the club on the Friday night, and then I saw the junior, and he told me he made 30 grand. And I was thinking to myself, okay, you're the right hand now. That's cool. I mean, I'm happy with that. I'm not envious or jealous, but I looked at him and I said, hey, he's our leader now. You got to make sure you watch his back, okay? Look after him. But internally in my mind, I was saying, it's because I'm not there anymore. You better look after him, man. Yeah, because he's our number one. And then he turns around, looks at me and he goes, don't worry, Senior Dragon. I'll. You better. So, from that day on, I started not hanging around with the group anymore, Started doing my own thing, So, yeah, so I hardly, got to see the bunch anymore. And then I started, landing into the clubbing scene, And then I was so much into the clubbing scene that I was a part of the furniture. So if you hear my earlier stories of the day club peacemaker and the adventures of me and babes and yeah, I've had a lot of days where I'd start on a Thursday and then ended up home on Sunday. Yeah, I clubbed that much. Yeah. And yeah, it's a big time part of the furniture. I was at the stage where in a lot of venues that I went to, I didn't even have to line up anymore. I just walked straight through. Yeah, I could just dance through. Yeah, it's what happens when you become a regular of something. It's like mum. She's been in the industry so long that she does what they call geng yip and how yip. She's not only into her job, but she actually serves back her job, as in giving back to her job. She's a tea pile. They call cha dama. She can't not have yum cha without yum cha on a daily basis. So traditional. It's like my brethren as well. He not only serves the whole metropolitan community. But he actually returns back the business as well. He always goes and eats back there and then takes his friends there. And, so he's, yeah, really genuine. Pureness of heart. Yeah, so I was exiled, right? And then it got to the stage that I was so detached with the clan because, a lot of brothers don't know the story, because it's between me and the number one, But I realized throughout that time, because of the detachment and some of the brothers that do see me out in the party scene, yeah, this junior fella, yeah, started getting big, started getting some fellas, and then one day he introduced his fella to me and said, oh, this is my small one. I go, okay, cool, call Brother Dragon. Yeah, okay, hi, Brother Dragon. All right, cool. So he gets into a mischievous, as you all do when you're a junior, yeah, and I go, hey, your small fellow's doing this and this. He goes, oh, Senior Dragon, can you look after my brother? I go, okay, If he asked me that question, that means he couldn't look after him himself. But you're his idol. Anyways, looked after him for a little bit and then, it's funny. You're detached from your clan, but you help people from your clan. And then later on, they turn around, and then they tell their junior fella that oh, Senior Dragon, my big brother told me that you're not a part of us. So I go, oh really? Is that what he said? Is that his own perception, or is that the perception of someone else that's with authority? And he goes, oh, I don't know. I go, oh shit, I shouldn't have asked you that question. It's above your pay grade. Yeah, so I thought to myself, the head must be unhappy with me. Yeah, still unhappy. And it's shown, yeah, because as I told you, when money comes, easy come, easy go, right? So there was a stage where, like, I caught on with the brothers because they started jumping into the dance scene as well, the younger ones. So I went and partied at their house after, like, partying and then going to their birthdays and stuff. And there I meet the baton holder number one, the elder. But at that time, like, I got myself into a bit of a mess because I overspent money and stuff. So I saw him and I said, "Oh, elder, hey, you reckon if it's all right that I'll borrow 4K off you, but you can hold on to, like, three of my valuable watches. Yeah, I mean, my watches alone were, like, easy worth over 20K. Yeah, and he had given it some thought, but he goes, "Oh, I'll call you. But he called me once, and then he hung up again. And then I realized later on, like, when I met, like, a security guy that, like, worked in the clubs 20 years later, more than 20 years later, that he had, like, flown overseas, like, to take him around and show him places. I know now, yeah, but I didn't know then. So, but and I thought to myself, he's still very upset with me because 4K to him means nothing. But at the same token, he's got, like, insurance anyway. Because, like, my watches were over, like, 20K, easy. So when someone doesn't even do you a favor when they got nothing to lose, then something's up. Yeah. And then it doesn't matter, like, how you think they think, but because it's a no, that's already a good enough answer. Yeah. So that's why I've been exiled for a while and then started doing my own thing. But I realized that throughout the years of, like, being exiled, the ones that are genuine and the ones that, like, never thought about, like, what open perception feels, no clouded judgments, they'll always be by your side. Yeah. I remember one time, like, the general comes down to the nightclub that I like to go to every single Saturday. And then I go, "Hey." And he goes, "Hey, hello." I go, "What are you doing here?" And he goes, "Oh, we might have something going on. I go, "Then why'd you call me?" And and then he goes, "That's okay. Easy business." I go, "Yeah, but, like, I expect a call, man. Just, yeah, just call me." And then, like, this has happened, like, two or three times when I, like, bump into him. Yeah, during the time I was exiled, I always say to him, "Hey, call me if there's something on. But he always smiles, because, like, he knows that, like, I'm pure at heart with him, and also, like, clan, like, he knows that, and so do, like, my other reverends, like, always look at me and then, like, go, "Hello, Ditaka," and then, like, I go, "Thanks, brother, SC," but it doesn't matter whether they say it when they're drunk or not, but they mean it. And then, like, you know the ones that, like, are down for you, and they don't act on impulse because of the fact that, like, it's a reputation of, like, being fearful that anyone's going to be higher than anyone. They're just a brotherhood. That's the beauty of it. Yeah, don't talk status, don't talk yeah, just come out of the heart, man. Yeah, like, seniority and all that, it's just a form of respect and, like, a hierarchical structure. But when it comes to love, there's not really many levels, man. Like, if you're down for each other, you're down for each other. Yeah, yeah. But it got to the stage where, like, I made a pretty reputable reputation just outside by myself, man. Like, I didn't need anyone. Yeah, like, everyone knew me, and like, even people, like, in my club that, like, go clubbing, you know, ask me for help. You know what I mean? But that's how it works. You put me in any environment, I'll survive. But only because of pureness of heart. And if I wasn't authentic, none of that would happen. Yeah, and I will continue to be authentic. And that's why I always pose to you guys. Even though I was exiled, even though I was despised, I go to the darkest dungeons. In Chinese they call it long se wan zaba, which means all the dragons and the snakes are within those gates. It's the most scariest place to be. It's like hell. But I can still thrive there. Doesn't matter. Because you know why? I'm coming in the purest of heart. I'm coming down authentically. Yeah. I remember taking this Japanese girl, down to the nightclub that I go to, and then she goes to me, Steve, this looks like hell. And I go, oh yeah, because it was dark, and back then you were still allowed to smoke cigarettes, and all the laser lights and all the red lights that are shining down. I go, yeah, it looked like downstairs burning fire, and just have these devils with a tail with the triangle running past because everyone's just dancing like this. Yeah, I go, oh yeah, this place does look a bit like hell. I go, then I go to her, well, then you must be an angel then, because I didn't feel that, you did. Yeah. Anyway, this is my exiled story. Yeah, so what I'm trying to say is, even if you get exiled, even if you get misunderstood, so long as you remain pure, things will turn around and eventuate. Yeah. I mean, I've even thrived in hell. And everyone, it was from people kind of like this, to eventually me walking down there by myself with of course, the guys that are always clubbing with me and run with me, like this. Oh, hey, Steve, hey, Dragon, hey, Dragon. Because it's that simple. I've always used my heart to treat others, even in hell. Yeah, so that's why I always say, when I fold up, I'm going to go downstairs because, downstairs there's a lot of people waiting to, shake my hand. Okay, guys, I love you. And who are you going for today? Spain or Argentina? It's going to be a good match. My general told me that there's political issues on top of this cup, and as well as Messi's last cup. So they both are wanting to win it. Yeah. And yeah, it's going to be a good one. So have a good day, and go to the World Cup. Bye bye.